My family tried to steal my inheritance by pretending I was crazy. So I outsmarted every one of them. We just need him to sign the papers. He'll never see it coming. They said. They thought I was broken, but I was just getting started. It started with an iPad. A stupid, unlocked iPad. A few months ago, I moved back to my hometown after my life kinda collapsed. I'd spent most of my 20s grinding hard in the tech industry. Long hours, startups, coding till 3 a.m., caffeine binges, no real life outside of work. I was living that hustle culture lifestyle like an idiot. And then burnout hit me like a truck. Lost my job. Got dumped. Developed a charming case of panic attacks. You know, the usual welcome package for modern adulthood. So I did the thing I swore I never would. I moved back in with my parents. Just for a few weeks, I told myself. Long enough to get my head on straight. They seemed supportive at first. Let me stay in the guest house behind the main house. My mom brought over groceries sometimes. My dad gave me space. My sister came by once in a while with her weird kombucha obsession. It wasn't ideal, but it was calm. It felt safe. Or at least, I thought it was. Fast forward to a Saturday afternoon. It was my cousin Jake's birthday. Nothing big, just a small backyard barbecue. Burgers, beer, kids running around screaming. The usual family noise. I was in the kitchen helping set up music when Jake asked me to grab the Bluetooth speaker and sync it with his iPad. I grabbed it from the counter, unlocked it, no passcode, because of course, and immediately a notification popped up right in the middle of the screen. Family strategy chat. Urgent. Update about Ryan? I paused. My name was in the notification. Not from me. About me. And something about the way it was worded? It wasn't giving loving concern. It was giving boardroom meeting. I stared at it for a few seconds, heart thudding. Curiosity won. I tapped it. And what I saw, I still don't really have the words for it. But I'll try. It was a group chat. Not like a casual family one with memes and plans and happy birthday gifts. This was a separate chat. Hidden. Created just for talking about me. The members? My mom, dad, sister, uncle, and my ex-girlfriend. Yeah, she made it into the family group. After dumping me, I started scrolling. Slowly. Message after message, going back weeks. He's isolating again. Classic sign of regression. Can we talk about long-term care options? He's not bouncing back. If we position this right, a conservatorship might actually work. He's in no state to manage his finances. I checked. He hasn't touched the trust fund in months. We could file something. We need to move fast before he snaps and spends it all. If he gets defensive, we can claim delusion. It's not hard. I'm not exaggerating when I say my hands started shaking. They were planning to take control of my life. Not help. Not check in. They were crafting a whole-ass plan to make me look unstable so they could legally control my finances. My own family. Oh, it gets worse. The messages from my ex? Brutal. He's been journaling again. Obsessively. Signs of breakdown. He doesn't shower some days. Classic depressive spiral. He told me he sometimes thinks about running away. We can use that. She was leaking private things I told her during our relationship. Twisting my lowest moments into ammo. I had opened up to her when I was at rock bottom. I thought she cared. Meanwhile, she was selling me out in a damn group chat with my mom. I scrolled up and saw the name of the chat again. Family strategy chat. Like I was a project. A campaign. A problem to be handled. I felt nauseous. I looked up. Everyone outside was laughing, eating hot dogs like it was just another sunny weekend. And I was inside reading my own betrayal in real time. I locked the iPad, put it back on the counter, walked straight to the bathroom, and sat on the floor for 20 minutes trying not to throw up. And right there, in that exact moment, something in me shifted. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even surprised, not really. I'd always known they didn't get me. I was the quiet one, the off one, the black sheep. But now I saw it for what it really was. They didn't think I was broken. They thought I was useful. A walking ATM with mental health issues they could exploit. And the second they thought I was too weak to fight back, they pounced. Well, bad news for them. I wasn't as broken as they thought. So yeah, I left that barbecue like my body was on autopilot. I smiled. I waved. I even made a dumb joke about the potato salad on my way out. But inside, I wasn't even angry yet. I was in this weird, cold zone, like my brain had just switched from hurt to calculate. Because once you get over the shock of your own family trying to gaslight you into a psych hold for your own money, your next question becomes, why now? Why were they suddenly desperate to grab control? The answer hit me that night. Let me explain something about my background. When I was 18, my grandfather died. The only person in the family I was truly close to. He was old school, rough hands, big laugh, built his entire life from nothing. He didn't trust banks or lawyers, so before he passed, he told me in person, "I'm leaving you something. It's in a trust. Not for now. For later. For when you need a parachute." I never knew how much it was. But it was locked away, untouchable until I turned 35. And guess what? My birthday was in 3 weeks. The timing wasn't a coincidence. Not a chance. They weren't worried about my well-being. They were racing the clock before that money became legally mine. That group chat? It was all about building a narrative. That I was unstable, unfit, unsafe. And that they needed to step in and protect me. From what? Myself? Or just their inability to let me have something that wasn't theirs? I kept thinking about the little things that suddenly made sense now. My sister asking me casual questions like, "Hey, do you still write in that weird notebook thing? Just curious." Or my mom guilt-tripping me for not going to therapy, not because she cared, but because it could be used against me if I didn't. They weren't checking in. They were collecting evidence. And then there was the money itself. I did some digging. The trust was worth $600,000. $500,000 and change. Left solely in my name. Untouchable until I turned 35. After that, it was mine, free and clear, no oversight, no conditions, no need for permission. So now it was all lining up. I was close to the finish line. I was vulnerable enough to manipulate. And they figured I'd be too emotionally wrecked to notice them snatching the rug out from under me. But what they really miscalculated. I'd spent years in tech. My job literally used to be spotting patterns in code. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a blueprint. And now I knew the why. It was time to focus on the how. I started making lists. Not even joking, full-on pen and paper, like some movie villain planning a heist. I split the players up like roles in a con. Mom, the emotional manipulator. Soft voice, guilt trips, uses "we just care about you" like a weapon. Dad, the enabler. Quiet most of the time, but when he speaks, it's always about practical solutions. Translation, control. Sister, the mastermind. She's always been calculating. She framed her snooping as checking in. Nah, she wanted access. Uncle, the wild card, has always hated me. I'm sure he's drooling over a payday. X, the informant. She had access to my mental health details. She knew my triggers. And now she was supplying intel. This wasn't a family. This was a hostile boardroom. I stopped talking to everyone that week. No texts. No casual chats. When they asked if I was okay, I just said, "Yeah, just tired." Played the part. I wanted them to relax. I needed them to think I was slipping again. That their little plan was working. And while they were getting cozy, I was transferring my savings into a new private bank account, cutting them out as beneficiaries of anything, contacting a lawyer who specialized in estate and trust protection, quietly scheduling a full mental health evaluation with a licensed psychologist, installing a camera in my guest house and a mic under the kitchen table, using my old tech contacts to recover deleted files and texts from my ex's messages she didn't think I'd ever see. They thought I was unraveling. But really? I was arming up. What hit hardest wasn't the money. It was knowing they looked at me, their son, their brother, their family, and saw something weak enough to rob. Not one of them said, "This feels wrong." Not one of them hesitated. But soon, they were going to wish they had. So yeah, at this point, I was fully in revenge prep mode. Not the dramatic, screaming in the rain type of revenge. No, I wanted cold, airtight, legally lethal payback. They weren't going to get a reaction out of me. No outbursts. No confrontation. Just silence and smiles. Meanwhile, I was setting up the chessboard piece by piece. The setup, I played it smart. I knew they were watching me closely, waiting for me to crack. So I gave them exactly what they expected, the illusion of vulnerability. I started leaving my journal in obvious places. Not the real one, a decoy. I filled it with exaggerated nonsense like "sometimes I hear voices" and "I'm scared I'm losing control." I let them catch me pacing in the yard, muttering to myself with earbuds in. They didn't know I was just listening to a true crime podcast. I started sleeping odd hours, left dishes around, didn't shave for a week. Classic mental spiral behavior. My sister? Hooked instantly. I saw her sneaking glances, texting someone. Every time I played up the weird, Her face lit up like she was collecting trophies. I was feeding them fake evidence, and they were eating it up. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I was collecting everything. My guest house was wired up like a mini surveillance studio. Hidden camera in a plant on the bookshelf. Mini mic under the kitchen table where my mom liked to chat with me. Old phone reconfigured to act as an audio trigger recorder, picking up keywords like unstable, trust, money, and Ryan. In less than a week, I had audio of my mom saying, "We just need to make it believable enough. If the lawyer hears it from all of us, they'll listen." A clip of my sister whispering to my dad, "Once the papers go through, we can start moving things around in the trust." And the cherry on top? My ex-girlfriend literally coaching them over speakerphone, saying, "Just make sure he doesn't get an independent psych eval. That's the only thing that could ruin this." Oops. Too late, sweetheart. I had already gotten my own full evaluation from a certified psychologist in another city. 3 sessions. Full write-up. Clean bill of mental health. Even better? I had them backdated to a few weeks ago, before their little chat with the shady lawyer. I wasn't just going to prove I was fine. I was going to prove they knew I was fine, and tried to fake it anyway. Then came the next phase. I started nudging things along, making it easier for them to make the first move. I asked my mom what would happen if something ever happened to me. She got real quiet. I left my laptop open with a fake email draft to a therapist that said, "I don't know who I can trust." I accidentally left my phone unlocked with a search history like, "How does conservatorship work? And am I going crazy?" I was handing them bait, and they were tripping over each other to grab it. Sure enough, the day came. The ambush. It was a Thursday morning. I remember because I had just brewed coffee when my dad knocked on the door. He said, "Hey, bud, can you come over for a minute? Your mom made pancakes." I knew right away. My parents have never made me pancakes in my adult life. I took a breath, grabbed my phone, hit record, and walked over. I walk into the living room and, boom, they're all there. Mom, dad, sister, uncle, and a guy I don't recognize, holding a folder. My mom does that soft, fake concerned voice. "Sweetheart, we've all been really worried about you lately. So we've asked someone to come talk to you about some next steps." The guy? He's some wannabe therapist, totally unlicensed. Just a consultant. And he has papers. Legal guardianship papers. All filled out. Just missing a few signatures. My dad adds, "This is just until you're feeling more stable. You'll stay here, and we'll help manage your finances in the meantime." I stare at them. I let silence hang in the air for a solid 10 seconds. Then I calmly pull out my folder. "Actually, I've got something for you too." Inside my folder, the psych evaluation signed by a licensed mental health professional. Transcripts and printouts of the group chat messages I'd screen captured off the iPad. A full breakdown of the trust, my legal rights, and statements showing they'd attempted unauthorized access. And finally, a USB containing audio clips of them scheming, all nicely organized into folders labeled by speaker and most damning. My mom opened her mouth to say something, and I stopped her. "Just so you know, this conversation is being recorded, and everything in this room right now is evidence." You could have heard a pin drop. My sister tried to recover. "Ryan, you're being paranoid." I cut her off. You know what's funny? Paranoia means fear without evidence. I've got plenty of evidence. And now? So will my lawyer. I turned to the therapist and said, "You're not licensed. I already ran your name. You're done here." He grabbed his folder and basically speed walked out. The rest of them sat there like mannequins. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even curse. I just said, "You wanted to control me? Watch what I do when I'm in control." Then I walked out. I walked out of that room feeling like a pressure valve had finally popped. No shouting. No breakdown. No begging. Just facts. Just silence. And the look on their faces when they realized I was 5 steps ahead the whole time? Chef's kiss. I didn't even go back to the guest house. I had already packed the essentials and stashed them in my car the night before, just in case they tried to pull something drastic. The rest of my stuff? I left it. I could buy new clothes. What I wasn't going to do was spend one more night under the same roof as people who tried to steal my autonomy. I drove to my new apartment. Yep, already signed, deposit paid, utilities set up. Downtown, high floor, big windows, no one breathing down my neck. I had a lawyer on retainer. I had a therapist backing my mental health in writing. I had hard evidence of fraud, manipulation, and attempted coercion. And now, it was time to use it. First, the legal strike. The next morning, my lawyer hit them with a cease and desist, official notice to never contact me regarding guardianship or finances again. Along with it, a formal complaint to the state board against the consultant therapist they brought to the ambush. A letter to the trustee of my grandfather's estate, alerting them of an attempted fraudulent interference with the trust. A preliminary civil suit notice for emotional distress, attempted financial coercion, and potential defamation. My sister's reaction was immediate. She tried texting me. "You're blowing this way out of proportion. We were trying to help you." Yeah? You don't help someone by stabbing them in the back and calling it a hug. Blocked. Then, the public detonation. Now look, I didn't want to go public, but I also didn't want them spinning the story first. So I wrote a private blog post. Nothing crazy, just the facts. My story. What happened? I didn't name them directly, but people in town aren't dumb, especially when screenshots started circulating anonymously. Turns out, I wasn't the only one. A former family friend messaged me and said they'd been cut off by my parents years ago after a similar money-related stunt. Another person DM'd me to say my sister had done shady financial stuff to an ex-boyfriend. Suddenly, the family reputation was taking hits from all sides. That fake perfect image they built. Cracks. Everywhere. Next, the personal blowback. My sister's promotion at her company? Yeah, gone. Apparently, her boss didn't like seeing leaked messages with phrases like, "He's a liability. We'll get it all if we're smart." Oops. My dad's side gig as a consultant for a local charity? Bye-bye. You can't exactly keep advising nonprofits when there's online chatter about how you tried to take your own son's trust fund. My mom. Well, she went full ghost mode. Probably from shame. Or panic. Or both. My uncle? Still tweeting inspirational quotes like nothing happened. Coward. Meanwhile, I thrived. I stayed dead silent after that. No contact. No replies. Just clean breaks across the board. I took the time to actually rebuild. Got back into freelance coding. Landed a retainer client that paid well and respected boundaries. Started therapy again. This time for me, not to prove anything. Adopted a dog. His name is Cosmo. 10 out of 10 good boy, terrible at fetch. I also finally accessed the trust fund. $600,000. I didn't blow it. I didn't flex it. I just secured my future. Invested wisely. Got myself a financial advisor who actually respects me. Paid off debts. Put the rest into a long-term plan that meant I'd never need to depend on anyone again. Ever. The best part? They couldn't touch a damn cent of it. All their plotting, scheming, gaslighting, wasted. Every single one of them thought I was weak. But I wasn't broken. I was waiting. And when the time came, I didn't swing wildly. I cut surgically. By this point, I was already out of the storm. I had money in the bank. Peace of mind. A new place. A dog who thought I was the entire universe. But the thing is, you don't just walk away from something like that without a scar. They didn't just betray me. They targeted me. They coordinated, they planned, they manipulated. And if I hadn't caught them in time, I would have been sitting in some court-appointed therapist's office while they drained my account and patted themselves on the back for helping. So yeah, I was done. But I wasn't finished. Because I had one more card they didn't know I had. And I was going to play it slow. Remember my grandfather? The only family member who ever truly gave a damn. Well, turns out his influence stretched way farther than just the trust fund. He left behind something else. A property. A lakeside cabin out in the quiet woods 2 hours from town. Gorgeous place. Tiny dock. Fireplace. Big old tree out front I used to climb as a kid. It had been in the family for generations. My parents always treated it like their prize. They hosted holiday dinners there, took pictures like it was their legacy. But they didn't own it. My grandfather did. And according to the will, which I finally requested a copy of through my lawyer, he left his share of the lake house to me. Not just some small part either. 51%. Majority ownership. Control. I sat on that knowledge for a bit. Watched them continue pretending on Facebook. Family cookout at the cabin. Summer vibes with the crew. Like they hadn't tried to dismantle me from the inside out. So I called the real estate firm that had been contacting my dad for years. The one he hated because they wanted to modernize the area with new developments. He refused to sell to them. Said it would ruin the family legacy. I told them I was ready to talk. 2 weeks later, I walked into the meeting with the real estate exec and my lawyer. They slid the paperwork across the table, and I nearly choked. They weren't just buying it. They were offering over market value, fast cash, no strings attached. They wanted to build luxury cabins and needed a foothold on that lake. And thanks to my 51%, my signature alone could sell the place out from under the rest of my family. So I signed. Right there. Boom. Cabin gone. The fallout, part 2. The news didn't take long to travel. My dad called. I didn't answer. My sister emailed. I forwarded it to my lawyer. My mom showed up at my building once. I told the front desk to add her to the no-entry list. Then I sent a single group message to the entire family. The lake house was a gift from someone who loved me. You used it as a photo op. Now it's going to be something that actually helps people build lives. Seems fitting. Best of luck. Blocked them all. Later, I found out they had a total meltdown trying to stop the sale. But too late. It was already done. Construction began 3 months later. The cabin was leveled. In its place, 5 modern homes. One of them was listed as an Airbnb. Sometimes, I check the reviews just to see people writing. Quiet, peaceful getaway. Gorgeous view. No drama. Total escape. Couldn't have said it better myself. The best revenge? Living well. But the ultimate revenge? Living well while they watch you do it, and knowing they handed you the matches you used to burn down the old world. It's been a year now. 12 full months since I walked out of that house, out of that mess, and into my own life. I wish I could say it was easy, that I just flipped a switch and everything was perfect, but healing doesn't work like that. It comes in weird waves. Some days I felt unstoppable. Other days, I stared at the ceiling wondering if any of it was real. But here's what I do know. Every single choice I made to protect myself, worth it. Every bridge I burned, deserved it. No contact means no control. I never reconnected with my family. Not once. Not for the holidays. Not for birthdays. Not even when my mom sent a guilt-ridden email with the subject line, "Let's talk before it's too late." I didn't even open it. Because for once, I'm not the one being manipulated. I'm not being gaslit into a misunderstanding or told I'm too sensitive. I trusted my gut, and my gut was right. They weren't family. They were opportunists in matching sweaters. Life now? Quiet. Peaceful. Mine. I wake up when I want. I work for clients who respect my boundaries. I take Cosmo, still a 10 out of 10 good boy, still can't fetch for sh*t, on long walks through neighborhoods where no one knows my name, and no one wants anything from me. I started saving. Not just money, energy. I've got time now to read, to go out with friends, to breathe. I even took a solo trip last month. Booked a lakeside cabin. Not the lake, a new one. My lake. Watched the sun rise. No noise, no strings, just silence. And it hit me there, on that porch with a coffee in one hand and Cosmo in the other. This is what they were trying to steal from me. Not just money, not just property, my peace, my future. They saw me spiraling, and instead of helping me rise, they tried to bury me in it. But now, I've built something solid, quiet, strong. They don't get to touch it, ever again. Last loose ends. You know what I did with part of the trust money? I donated $20,000 to a mental health nonprofit, under their names. Yep, the Smith Family Support Fund. Just for kicks. I started a little scholarship at my old college. It's small, but it's for students who had to walk away from toxic families and do it on their own. And I wrote everything down, the whole story. Not to post, not to brag, just to remember. Because one day, when I have my own family, one built on actual love, not control, I'll want them to know. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they share your blood. You're not selfish for surviving. So what now? Nothing dramatic. I'm not stalking their Facebooks. I don't check on them. I don't hope for karma. I just live. And every single day I get to do that on my own terms. That's the revenge. That's the closure. That's the ending. Silence never sounded so good.